You receiving me? Are you folks receiving me? Glad to think you are. How we doing tonight, folks? Ooh, that's kind of that lighting is a little grim. I'm gonna try. Light. That's a little better. So folks, how we doing tonight? Thrash Bondo here. I'm going live. I was just guesting, well, by phone. I was phoning it in on Steve, the Life and Set ending on his show, and now you got me on my show. And hoping some of you. Now I'm a few minutes early, so I'd like to think someone's already here. Look who's here, Sarah from My Flock is Everywhere here, and she says, "My hi, brother. Hi to you too, sister. Always good to see you, Sarah. That's two nights in a row. You can't do much better than that now, can you?" And let's see if we get anybody else in the not too distant future. I really don't. I was hoping to be more centralized on camera tonight, but I don't want to move anything on account of the last time I tried that, I kicked a cord out. She goes on to say a couple of emojis and then giggle. Emojis and giggling back to you, Sarah. And remember, tonight's topic is going to be famous origin stories, vintage sci fi, TV, you name it, preferred. Lance Chafin says, Hiya, Thrash. Lance, I knew you'd make it. He was just at Steve's live show as well, by the way. Great to see you. And Sarah goes on to say, giggle, Bonds. Giggle's like your favorite word. That and based. Oh, and by the way, based is good. If Sarah ever says you are based, it means you are good. I don't know if that's because she uses a bird theme and one bastes turkeys and chickens. So to be based is a good thing. Or if you're on base, or all your base are belong to us. But either way, it's wonderful having you here, Sarah. Lance, no H. Tracy is here. Tracy from Fractured History and More, her new channel, which is going live again. Please, Tracy, promote your channel. I know you're going live at some point this week, but I totally lost where in the catastrophic system failures I was having last night. But she says hi, guys, and hi to you as well. And Sarah goes on to say based means cool. Oh, I know it means cool. I was just wondering what its origins were. Victor Harper. I'm sorry, that sounds like a Vietnam battlefield. Vinton Harper is here, who says, "Wow, the audio is 200% better." Yeah, I was messing with the settings a little bit tonight, but I'm glad it's better. I was hoping for only 100% better. And Kenneth Wilkinson is here and says, "Good evening, Bob. Mr. Wilkinson, great to see you as well." A lot of people having fellowship. Got about 4 people in the house. Not bad considering I'm about 10, 12 minutes early tonight. Dominic D is here. Hey, Thrash. Hey, everyone. Dominic D, so good to see you. Welcome to the party. My Flux says I'm live tomorrow, Pawns, 6 p.m. my time. You're West Coast, right? So I believe that would be 9 o'clock my time. I'll probably still be at work, but if I can, I'll try to make it perhaps for the tail end, or in your case, the tail feather end. Oh, and Tracy says maybe on the weekend, but it's about a prisoner of radio. I'm sorry, a pioneer of radio. When you jump when I read, I have to kind of extrapolate. I like prisoners of radio better, but a pioneer of radio is good as well. Edward R. Murrow, first one I could think of. Or you're going way back into pioneers. You're doing Marconi. Let's just see. A lot of people having fellowship. Justin says, "What's a rusty nail?" A rusty nail is a cordial. It's basically a chilled shot. You can do it over rocks, but people don't. They usually do it as a shot, and it's a Drambuie. And I haven't made one of these in ages. Drambuie and Scotch, I want to say. And what you do is you put it in a shaker over ice, shake it up, pour it into a shot glass, and people make themselves sick. Sarah goes on to say, "Yes, Pawns, giggle epic, and a giggle epic to you as well." By the way, Mr. Lettuce here says Commodore, permission to come aboard. Permission granted. Or should I say, enter? And oh, my flock goes on to say, hit that like button, that thumbs up, please. What she said. Sean Innes is here and says, hey all. Hey to you too, Sean. The Daily Dan blog is here. He says, greetings. But from wherever, whatever part of the country you're from, you just said greetings. Wait, don't tell me. It's from South Carolina. Oh, and by the way, I hope you had fun at that sci-fi convention. Lynn goes on to say, hit that like button. Um, Justin says, Drambuie is expensive these days. All good spirits are expensive these days. Darrell Johnson says, Bob, Darrell, my other brother Daryl, so good to see you. Oh, and Denny goes on to say, greetings from South Carolina. Thank you for taking up the guesswork. Dominic D says 6 likes so far. Well, we're getting there. We're getting there. And a lot of people having fellowship with one another. Sean Innes says, Doll Pell, and a Doll Pell to you. You know what I'm going to do? I'm in poor lighting here, so sometimes I might use this. It's a little Dat Pell. I like Doll Pell better, but I'll work with what I got. Tracy goes on to say, heck, even Bruns Farm is expensive these days. It probably is. You know what I think it is? I got a cheap pair of glasses, and I think my cheap glasses might have something to do with the fact I'm having a tough time with the comments. So I can see better without them. I'm gonna try this, and oh, that is so much better. Oh, it'll be so much easier if I can read. Justin says, "Is there a horse track in Narragansett? I remember in the Sting, Lonigan references the 5th race at Narragansett. There was. I very seldom get to Rhode Island anymore. I don't know if it's still there. I can tell you there used to be dog racing in Massachusetts. They outlawed that about 10, 12 years ago, but they very well might still have horse racing in the Narragansett. It's beautiful country there. Narragansett's beautiful. Dominic D says, I didn't even think they still made Boone's Farm. You'd be surprised what kind of cheap spirits they still make these days. Shannon says, LOL, that was a typo thrash on my phone. And here I am digging, trying to find out what it is. But, it's funny. Dave was making fun of me because I tend to read these things. I read them phonetically. Like if there's a typo, I'll read it in typo form. Dan, the breaking news man, says, hi, I was just watching. Steve came over to watch your channel. Well, Dan, welcome to the show. Are you now, I don't know if you know about my life and set ending effect, but apparently during one of his live chats, Steve mentioned people from his channel going and, joining mine. Are you one of my new subscribers? Because I got like 100 subscribers in the span of 3 days, thanks to him. But either way, you're very, very welcome. And if you haven't subscribed, feel free to. But welcome to the party, man. Right now, we're going to be talking about origin stories in vintage science fiction, television, even comics. What are your favorite origin stories? That is to say, what famous franchise or show, movie, whatnot was actually inspired or derived from an earlier work. They don't even have to be related. My vlog. Oh, she's given us a link. Pawns, I really think you'll like this channel and everyone should check it out. Gorge reminds me of you, Pawns. Oh, definitely a handsome young man, I take it. Oh, and Sarah goes on to say, I'm drinking. Giggle. No worries, I would be too if I wasn't on live. Oh, and speaking of links, Dan, would you be kind enough to give us links for the people in the comments for both Sarah's channel and Tracy's channel? Thank you very much. Tracy says, as long as they're not the brownies from Barney Miller, who booshy booshy. Mr. Lid says, I used to drink Bones as a teen. It only cost 99 cents back then. Wow, 99 cents for any quantity would have been cheap. Justin says Drambuie is licorice fennel flavored. Same with that yellow liquor from France. You know what I think tastes exactly like licorice? That Jägermeister. I went through a Jägermeister phase, and to me, it tasted like that old school licorice you can only get from candy stores. Yeah. Dan says, yes, I will be. Oh, well, thank you very much. I assume you're referring to be a new subscriber. Dan, thank you very much. Shuntina says, I know Thresh, you do a great job deciphering my text. That one was just abysmal. Well, if you want something dismal, then not too abysmal. Perhaps we could check out an old Steve Reeves movie. I should probably stop right there. Dominic D says, I guess they still make Night Train and Thunderbird too. I actually drank Thunderbird when I was in college, but I would be that was over 30 years ago. Would be surprised if they still do. Les Javen says Batman is my favorite origin story. Well, Batman has its own origin story. Are you referring the fact that it actually came from Detective 25 first? I think I'm grokking what you're talking. Jenny's given us links. Thank you very much. Oh, and my Fleck has given us another link. Oh, and look who's here. Steve. Steve, he says, hey, dude. Steve, I hope you didn't pull the plug on your live chat just to come visit me on mine. If you did, thank you very, very, very much. I'd like to think you were just wrapping up at that time. Anyway, it was so nice to join you, by the way, even briefly. Tracy says nothing good comes from Jägermeister. Nothing good starts with Jägermeister either. Lynn says, hiya, Steve. Good to talk to you. Danny says, I feel like I got hit by a car. Wait, I did this morning. You actually get hit by a car this morning and you're here tonight? I applaud your stick-to-itiveness. Are you okay, dude? If you get hit by a car, please, please, please take care of yourself. But, wow. My Flux shares my concern and says, OMG, Dan. Shannon says, I hope you hit it back, Danny. Seriously, is the car okay? Mr. Lynn says, are you serious, Dan? Oh, I'm sure he's serious, but it looks I'm sorry. Apparently I got a link from Darrell on Facebook, and when I went to thank him, I got into another screen. So forgive me being lost into an alternate universe. Sean Innes says, hope you hope you're back. Already got that. Danny says, a stupid 100-year-old woman backed into me in a parking lot and knocked me on my bum. Oh, dude, I hope you're okay. I hope you sue her for all she's got. Sean Innes says, hope you aren't too banged up, Danny. Yeah, and that you sue her for everything she's got. I'll be a witness. My Flux says, OMG, Dan, love you, brother. Feel better, definitely. And Steve says to Lance, thanks for the help, Lance. Isn't Lance like amazing? He's always helping all the YouTubers with their YouTube channels. And Mr. Lid says, was she working for Bigfoot? That would explain a lot. Oh, and Steve says, you're welcome. Oh, Big Guy 25 is here and says, I'm here. Big Guy's so good to see you. How's the TikTok channel doing? Justin says, 100-year-old woman, LOL. She was old enough to remember when there weren't any cars. Actually, there were cars around in the 1920s, at the risk of being pedantic. Danny says, I'm okay, but the car lost its taillights after I kicked it multiple times. Dan, you keep me young. I'm glad you're okay, man. Emily Miller's here. Emily, how you doing? Emily Miller says, where were you last night, DD? DD? Anyway, well, I had technical problems, so while I made a valiant effort to stick around, I was unsuccessful. But, Dominic D, maybe? But anyway, hopefully whoever you're interested in is okay. Dan says, hey, Vinton, how is Mama doing? Oh, my Mama. And Emily says, me too, my flock, for better or for worse. From Heroes Content is here. Says, hi, Thrash and Chet. Form content, great to see you as always. Danny's giving us another link, hopefully, to its to his law office. Sean Ennis welcomes Big Guys 45. Dominic D says, it was Dominic D. That's the DD I was thinking it was. I was busy with my daughters last night. Well, anyway, Dominic D, very glad you could be here tonight. Daryl just said, 13 watching, 7 likes. Don't seem right now. Do it. No, it does not, by the way. Oh, and I promise I'll check out that link on Facebook when I'm done here. If I try to go to it again now, I'll probably shut the whole thing down. And we're having such good luck tonight, I want to destroy it. Big Guy says, I'm finally over 500 followers. Yes, not bad after having my account for only 2 months as of now so far. It's some great stuff, really now. Steve says, hit that like button now or else. And Lance reiterates, hit that button or else. I don't want to be or else. Emily Miller says, I remember those days. DD. Oh, and Danny has given us another link. Thank you again. David's here. It says, Happy Monday, David. I'm so glad for your concern today. I seem to be doing okay, broadcasting wise, but again, you tell me. And Lance Jamin says he's buffering. Oh no, am I buffering for everyone or just Lance? Because we have worked out sometimes the buffering is localized. But anyway, you guys let me know. Vinton Harper or Justin says, Danny JG Wentworth 877 cash now call JG Wentworth. They're not a law office. That's if you want to borrow against your settlements. But you tell her you mean business. Big Guy says at least the stream is actually working unlike yesterday. I don't know what happened yesterday. But Mr. Lid says, I missed a few get together, but now is Tracy Rothmeyer's doing? Oh, I'm sorry. How is Tracy Rothmeyer's doing? I'll trust you. I'll let you say, but I know she was ill, but she's doing better now. And Milo says, don't jinx it, Big Guy. Big Guy says, I had a crazy religious argument with many people on Instagram just today. It was some truly insane stuff indeed. I can picture that. Dominic D says, picture is fine here. I'll take it. Dan says, no buffering here. That sounds good. Danny says, looks great to me. Mr. Lynn says, no buffering here. Cindy D is here. Oh my God, Cindy. So glad you could make it. Says, hello, everyone. As you know, we were having some major technical difficulties yesterday. It seems to me on a bad day, like when my internet is a little weak, if I try to broadcast from anywhere other than here, I have broadcasting issues, and I lost my internet twice last night. Crazy. But so glad you could make it tonight. Steve says, Robert Vaughn was great in those commercials. He's still dead, though. Yes, he did. And tragically, he was only 175. But yeah, it was nice he was able to make a living at the end doing those. You mean business. Do you know that for years I thought it was a local law office here in New England that had hired him somehow? And then I went to visit my grandmother, who was still alive at the time, in Florida, and he was pitching a law office down there. And I go, they just took his format and would slap on local law offices in different regions, which is brilliant. but yeah, apparently he was in your area as well. I think I just skipped it. Yes, I did. David says dial 10 10 10 321. I'm guessing that's a law office. Gonzo out there is here and with us. He says, I think if you set up your studio on a cell phone tower, your programs are history. I actually know someone who built his own cell phone tower. Perhaps I could borrow his someday. Actually, honestly, I don't know if he built it or if it was built on his property. He permitted it because he felt like talking to the other hemisphere. But either way, he's got a tower on his property. Dan says, what state are you located in? I'm from Massachusetts, specifically Cape Cod. That's that little arm thing, out on the coast. Steve says hello to you, Dan, by the way. Love people saying hi to Cindy. Big Guy says, I'm trying to help out my country for the better, or at least I'm trying to, LOL. Aren't we all? Sadly, in different directions in some cases. Emily Miller says, I'm kind of glad, though, life. We're all glad, life. Cindy D jumped off the page. You will never turn the page. Oh, she says, thank you, Thrash. Shannon said, Cinder D and actually finished hello to Emily. And hello to Emily as well. Emily Miller says, and just how are you doing that big guy? I think just with arguing with people. Hey, it's a start. It's called open dialogue. Justin says Vaughn's ex wife was the 100-year-old woman who hit Danny. Wouldn't that be a kick in the ass or a bump in the ass in his case? Oh, look who's here. The Nostalgic Pile Blast is here. He says, hi, Thrash Bundle Poems. Mr. Chance, how are you doing? Have you guys checked out Danny, please? A link. Have you guys checked out the Nostalgic Pod Blast? He's been putting out some absolutely great material. I was so sorry. I was watching that one you had the other day about the comics, and I have some vintage comics of myself, not as many as you, I'm certain. But I got a couple hundred, and I've been given some as gifts. I would have loved to have stuck around for that one, but I had to leave. But again, Nostalgic Pod Blast, you're doing some great stuff. Steve says he did it for Metzger Wickersham. Yes, he did it for Metzger Wickersham. He certainly did. Daryl John says, I am the law. And Steve says, here anyway. David says, I built this city on Rocky. I'm slipping into my old joke. There was a song I wrote for Weird Al called "We Built This Sunday on Rocky Road." It was not received, at least not to my knowledge. But I thought that was very clever. We built this Sunday on Rocky Road. But Dave was trying to say we built this city on rock and roll. We certainly did. Dominic D says, remember Robert Vaughn on the A Team during the last season? I don't. I remember him from a lot of schlocky old movies. And I remember him from a lot of TV shows. I remember him from basketball. I don't remember him from the A Team. I'll take your word for it, though. Shannon says Emily Miller watching on my phone and not doing well with my typing tonight. Sean, it's okay. I'm not doing well with my reading tonight. But Sean, glad you could make it. Emily says, Sean, I used swipe and sometimes that gets me in trouble. A lot of things get you in trouble, Miss Emily. I'm certain. Len says, Dawn as General Stockwell. Cindy D says, what's the topic for tonight? Classic origin stories. What famous stories that you really love are actually based or derived from earlier works? And thank you for reminding me that's what the trivia game is on tonight. Dan says, what kind of trivia will you be doing tonight? Funny, you should ask. Podla says, thanks. You're quite welcome. You're doing the great material out there. Tracy says, I am going to order one of your shirts for my birthday. That is the sweetest thing. For a birthday present, you want one of my shirts. Thank you. Formless Content says, OMG, basketball. I need to watch that again. It's actually a very funny movie. I mean, if you get past the bathroom humor, there's a lot of serious comedy in it. They were just known for their locker room stuff. Lance Javen says, Dom Hannibal and Stockwell were in the battle beyond the stars. Wow, you're absolutely right. Yes, they were. Hannibal played, or I can't believe I can think of his name. Guy from Breakfast at Tiffany's and Tobruk, but anyway, he was the cowboy who gave them the hand weapons, and Robert Vaughn played ostensibly the same character he played in The Magnificent Seven. Both Magnificent Seven and Battle Beyond the Stars, of course, were derived, speaking of origins, were derived from Seven Samurai. And this is what we're talking about here. How many movies were actually based on Seven Samurai? Well, now we have two. We have Battle Beyond the Stars and The Magnificent Seven. There's actually another one. It's actually called A Bug's Life, a Pixar animated film, and it actually fits the Seven Samurai template. I should actually write some of these, but I'm just a lazy bastard. I came up with a version of Seven Samurai, which I set in World War II. this village which is being victimized by Russian partisans puts together a group of deserters, army deserters, to defend its harvest from these brigands who want to take their food from them. And the gimmick of this Seven Samurai rendition is that one of the deserters was a German. Yes, they needed a demolitions expert to blow up a river, and the German dude they find is actually a demolitions expert. What befalls him is part of the irony of the storyline. But I am so far off topic at this stage. I might as well start a new show. So, what do you guys want to talk about tonight? Anyway, moving forward. But anyway, yes, that's the gimmick for tonight. We're talking about origins. Well, actually, if I start talking, I might give away some of these. So, but let's just say yes, you've hit the nail on the head, Lance, with your connection to Battle Beyond the Stars. David says, speaking of Weird Al, love the song Hey Ricky. Hey Ricky, you're so fine. Yeah, I love that one too. Justin says Jefferson Starship song Jane is a wrestling theme now. It has been reborn. No kidding. Gary Carpenter says, I'm back. Gary, so glad you could make it. And hopefully the buffering and other intolerabilities will end or not happen tonight, at least. Sean Innes says, wasn't Von Napoleon solo on The Man from U.N.C.L.E.? He certainly was. He certainly was. That's his best known acting credit. Emily says, calling me out tonight, Thrash? Never, never. You're a good girl, Emily. We all know it. Mr. Lid says, Vaughn was mostly known for Man from U.N.C.L.E. Yes. So Mr. Lid concurs. I jumped ahead a little, but I'm going to try to pick up. Ooh, I jumped ahead a lot, but I'm going to try to pick up. George Papard. Thank you for his content. George Papard. I knew that name. It was in the back of my brain. It was just hiding back there somewhere. with my hopes of a bright future. Wow, I am way behind. Okay, no problem. We're going to catch up, but I am going to go through and read as many of these questions as possible. Just see. Song Reborn. Okay, Uncle Gary Carpenter. Because 45 says I'm losing a few of my over TikTok subs. LOL. Bullcrap as always. Oh, courage, lad, courage. Terrell Eugene Bellinger is here. Tab, how you doing? He says, hello, Mr. Thrash. Today is my birthday. I'm turning 37. I was going to announce that when you showed up, but as you have announced it, I shall reaffirm. I saw that on Facebook that today was your birthday. I sent you a happy birthday message. Yes, everybody, please, please, please wish Teb a happy 37th birthday. Young man. And Ted has given us another link. Sean Innes says, I don't mind origin stories, just hate that they keep doing it for Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, etc. Yeah, in that case, they're just reinventing the wheel. We already had solid stories for guys like that. Super. A lot of people wishing Ted happy birthday. Oh, so he says, happy birthday, Teb. You're a kid. Steve says, message retracted, and a message retracted to you. David says, went Weird Al Yankovic concert twice. Oh, I've never seen him live. I wish I could. North Alabama cryptid David back just says, hey, Thrash and everyone in the chat. And hey to you, North Alabama cryptid. I would call you Knack. If that's okay with, or just David. I'll call you David. That works. That's my brother's name. I'll remember that. Gary Carpenter says, Thrasher, how's your equipment holding up? You tell me. Mr. Lynn says, Tibbo, happy birthday. You're still a baby. Keithy is here. Says, okay, that's a picture. Good. Yes, I do have a fairly good picture. Hopefully, it'll stay that way. A lot of people wishing Terrell, lots of people wishing Terrell happy birthday, and rightly they should. Someone like try to. Mr. Litz says autocorrect changed your name to Tebo. I thought Tebo may have been like a like Jimbo. Hey Tebo. But yes, you meant Teb, of course. Oh, Jonah says, I see you, Keith. Cindy says, I'm fine. Thank you for asking, Lance. Very good to know that you are doing well, Cindy. Please continue. Keithy just dove off the page, so I'm going to try to find him. Keithy says, hello, everyone. Too fast moving for me to keep track of all the people. Barcelona series in Barcelona. Blame it on the Barcelona with its magic spell. Blame it on the Barcelona. Emil says, Desi was a little haughty when he was younger. Yes, and he cheated on Lucy with everyone. Everyone. He cheated on Lucy with girls he didn't even like. And Gary Carpenter says, what does the Magnificent Seven have to do with A Bug's Life? I'm sorry. The origin story was Seven Samurai. Seven Samurai was the Akira Kurosawa film that was the basis for the Magnificent Seven, Battle Beyond the Stars, and Bug's Life. All three of those movies used Akira Kurosawa's Magnificent Seven as a template. I hope that answers the question there. Emily says, watch now as lightning strikes Thrash. It wouldn't be the first time. Emily then goes on to say, I'm good, Lance. How have you been? Tracy says, being back to the comment earlier about me being sick, I'm so trying not to be. I hate being sick. LOL. Well, I hope you have recovered fully. She goes on to say something. She goes on to say, I know I jumped again. Emily is great. I don't care what she's done in the past life. She rocks. No, everybody loves Emily, particularly everybody here. Everybody loves Emily, and Emily, everything is all in good fun. Dennis Kitten says George Papard loved that Banachek. And Cindy goes on to say, get well soon. And Tracy, Emily says, Tracy, I'm still doing it. You little scamp. Gary Cameron says, DS howdies, neighbor. Daryl Johnson says, something to do with the Seven Samurai, Gary. Yes, he's referring to my explanation to Gary's question earlier. Gary Cameron says, George Papard was in Breakfast at Tiffany's, one of my favorite movies. He certainly was. As was Audrey Hepburn, who, as I'm sure many of you know, this is hardcore. That cute little thing. She was interrogated by the Gestapo during World War II. Isn't that? She was a tough person. Ken Wilkinson says, Bob, I just found Tracy's channel. I subscribed to her. Good man. I'm glad you did. Everyone should subscribe to her. I believe there's a link for those of you who have not. Lance Jamin says Hannibal and Hawk were in Damnation Alley. By golly, you're right. You are just, you're really putting the pieces together tonight. I actually love Damnation Alley. I know it was death in the box office, thanks to other sci-fi movies. And I know it just varied wildly from the source material, but I liked it. I thought it was good. And Dave also says happy birthday. Tracy says happy birthday, fellow Cancer. My birthday is on Wednesday, so we're gonna have a party week. Whoop whoop. Dan says I saw Weird Al back in the day at a state fair here in Washington State. He even wore the fat suit from the video Fat. That is cool square. That is absolutely amazing. Must have been really hot during a state fair. Danny's giving us another link for Tracy. Thank you. A lot of people saying hello to each other. I'm going to try to skip down because I think I'm almost caught up. Gary Gardner says, I saw Carrot Top once at the LA airport. Was he doing a set or getting ready for a flight? CDD says, Desi was just a womanizer, Thrash. He certainly was. And David says, that fat suit has to be very hot and uncomfortable to wear. I can only imagine. Emily Miller says, everybody has a birthday, and then she promptly disappeared. Hold on. Oh, everybody has a birthday this week. Today is my unbirthday. I shudder to think what that means. Tab, birthday boy, has given us a question. Which late 90s, early 2000s sitcom do you prefer better? That 70s show, Will and Grace, Malcolm in the Middle, Curb Your Enthusiasm, Scrubs, Arrested Development, or Two and a Half Men? I loved early Two and a Half Men. I thought it was a great show. It kind of went off the rails as it went. Never got a chance to watch the Arrested Development, but I loved Scrubs. Again, I didn't see Curb Your Enthusiasm that much, but I did see Malcolm in the Middle. That was good. Will and Grace was good as well, and also that 70s show. I didn't like it. I didn't watch it religiously, but I did like it. But I'd have to say Two and a Half Men was my favorite of that group. Mike Silva's here. He says I'm late. No, you're right on time, Mike. You're right on time. And he says, "Do you want a party? It's party time. Got a party." Which he's doing the song from Return of the Living Dead. You didn't think I was going to get that, did you? Oh, and Ken Wilkinson says, "I just subbed to your channel, Tracy. That's very kind of you." Oh, Emily Miller also liked that 70s show. Mr. Lid says, "Gary, I saw Carrot Top in concert about 20 years ago. He was hilarious. I've seen him on TV, and I do. I also think he's great." Jenny says, "What is Carrot Top's worst nightmare, Bugs Bunny?" What? Oh, I see. What is Carrot Top's worst nightmare, Bugs Bunny? But a bump. And Chan says, "Get well soon." Cindy D says, "My teenage daughter loved that 70s show. She bought all the DVDs." Yeah, a lot of people did like that show. And again, I liked it. I just didn't watch it religiously, but a lot of people did. Do you remember that 80s show? I wanted to like that show, but it didn't get a chance to catch on. Danny's giving us another link. Gary Carpenter says, "Mr. Lid, he then was on Johnny Carson that night. That night. Oh, excellent, excellent. That's probably why he was in the airport. He's going to Johnny's studio." Dave says, "My favorite song of Weird Al is Melanie." Cindy D says, "I loved Will and Grace." Gary Carpenter says, "Or Roger Rabbit." Dominic D says, "70s show and Curb Your Enthusiasm." Terrell. And Nostalgic is thanking Danny for the link. Shannon says, "Mike Silva, that's a good Eddie Murphy cover." And Emily says, "Back at you, Lance." Gary Carpenter says, "Would you? It is raining here now." We're just foggy, no rain. Cindy D says, "I love the Lost on Jeopardy. Still funny to me." That is a great, great song. "I lost on Jeopardy, baby." You don't even get a copy of our home game. I'm sorry, you don't even get a lousy copy of our home game. You're a complete loser. I jumped again, but I think I'm almost caught up. I'm gonna make one mad dash to get to the bottom of the screen. Oh, David May is here. Been a long time. David, so nice of you to make it back. Yes, it has been a long time. Very, very glad that you could make it this evening. You're just in time. We're just about to start the trivia game. Mike Silva says, the plane. Lance Javen says, like a surgeon. Yeah, we're talking about Weird Al at the moment. Mike Silva says, "It's under the big W. The big W." And Cindy D also likes like a surgeon. Tracy likes the Weird Al song, "Smells Like Nirvana," or Amish Paradise. Lads, it's a good one too. Gary Carpenter says to Mike Silva, "My mom loved Tattoo. De plane. Justin says, "Is the trivia tough tonight?" Not as tough as earlier, but it might be a little dicey. We'll try. Emma Miller says, "The Mad Hatter says, today really is my unbirthday." Cindy says, "I imagine him doing a cover of Prince, When Pigs Fly." He actually wrote a cover of one of Prince's songs, and I'm trying to remember which one it was, but he couldn't play it because Prince wouldn't permit him to. But there was at least one Prince song that I know of that he tried to do, and Prince just never relented. Prince is no way. Uh oh. Gary Gabbard says wild turkeys can fly, domestic turkeys cannot. Oh, I know. Turkeys fly in my neighborhood all the time. And David says Taco Grande was a funny song. Ken Wilkins says, Cindy, if you had a channel, I would subscribe. Oh, that's very nice of you. Les David says, or Mexican Radio by Wall of Voodoo. Farsighted Crazy is my favorite Wall of Voodoo song. Oh, and Tracy's thanking everyone for the subs. SJ Badola says, good to be here again. My two favorite shows are The Odd Couple and Alf. SJ, so good to see. I was just thinking about the other day. I was going through some old subs and I saw a comment of yours. SJ, it's so great that you came by tonight. We're just about to start trivia. I hope you can stick around. But as I'm sure you know, Alf is one of my favorite comedies of all time. And I love The Odd Couple. Odd Couple's a great classic show. Tim says, Terrell, Murphy Brown, and Fresh Prince. Keithy says, can we use leftover answers from Dave's trivia? Of course you can. And Justin jumped off the page, but I'm gonna go back to it. Oh, just acting wise, she's horrible. Not really talking looks or anything. I'm not sure what you're talking about, but I'll take your word for it. Tab, I'm gonna get back to you. Do me a favor, repost that comment because I want to start the trivia in a minute. Tracy says there are too many origin stories to count. They have become really successful, and what I have liked, I can't even tell you one because there's too many. I certainly get you there. Denny says that's where my life turkeys could fly. You know what, Tib? Because some people are answering it, I am going to read it. And then we'll do the origin stories. What late 2000s, early 10s sitcom do you prefer better? The Office, Always Sunny in Philadelphia, How I Met Your Mother, Big Bang Theory, 30 Rock, Parks and Recreation, or Modern Family? Those are some amazing choices. I'm not going to do them in any order. I love The Office. My granddaughter loved it too. I think she knows it better than I do. I gotta admit, I love It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. A lot of bathroom humor, but it's a very, very funny, well-written show. How I Met Your Mother, good. I could take it or leave it, but I did like the episodes I did watch. Big Bang Theory, great. 30 Rock, great. Parks and Recreation, great. Modern Family, love it. So that is the answer to your question. I'm just skimming down to make sure I didn't miss saying hello to anybody who may have jumped in. To anybody, speaking of which, David May loved combat in the 60s. Make a movie. Ooh, a movie of the 1960s show Combat. Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. I love the opening segment where they're riding over the dunes in those jeeps. I used to love that show when I was a kid. I used to like want to do that. I'm sure it wouldn't be as much fun if you're being shot at. But anyway, okay, so guys, I'm gonna have to like put a pin in the comment section for now while we do trivia because it's 8 o'clock. It's the magic time, and as always, I'm going to start the questions in no particular order. Number 10. Which famous work was not an inspiration for Star Wars? Oh, and yes, some of them will be like because some things have multiple contributions to the work. Some of them are pick out the one that was not an origin. Sometimes that's easier. So again, which famous sci-fi work was not an inspiration for Star Wars? A. Star Trek. B. The Hidden Fortress. C. The Space Battle Cruiser Yamato. Or D. Flash Gordon. I shall repeat. Which famous sci-fi work, was not an inspiration for Star Wars? A. Star Trek. B. The Hidden Fortress. C. Space Battle Cruiser Yamato. Or D. Flash Gordon. Ooh! Emily, I'm so proud of you. You were the first to give the right answer. Yes, in interviews, Mr. Lucas has said that, of course, Hidden Fortress, everyone knows Hidden Fortress was part of it was literally the template. But Space Battle Cruiser Yamato, with its space dogfight scenes and capital ships that look like old naval vessels, were also an inspiration. And he grew up on Flash Gordon, and he loved Flash Gordon. The correct answer was Star Trek. While Star Trek may have inspired him, he has never mentioned Star Trek specifically as source material for Star Wars. So the correct answer is A. I will now move on to number 9. Which sci fi icon provided the source material for the Terminator franchise? Was it A. Ray Bradbury, B. Frank Herbert, C. Harlan Ellison, or D. Possibly all of them? I'm sorry, that was more of a joke, but I shall repeat. Which sci fi icon provided the source material for the Terminator franchise? A. Ray Bradbury, B. Frank Herbert, C. Harlan Ellison, or D. Possibly all of them. And well, you guys are all over this one. Uh, yes, it was in fact Harlan Ellison. In fact, Harlan Ellison sued James Cameron after the original Terminator came out. And if you look very closely in the credits for Terminator, it says, with acknowledgement to the works of Harlan Ellison. Cameron swore on a stack of Bibles he had never seen The Outer Limits Soldier or Demon of the Glass Hand, and he had never read I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream, but the courts didn't buy it. Now, of course, I'm sure there are plenty of other source materials that he may have borrowed from. Of course, that's why Avatar is such an homage. He didn't borrow. When you borrow from one source, it's plagiarism or copyright infringement. When you borrow from a dozen, you create an homage. But yes, Harlan Ellison, or a C in this case. Question 8. Which nature horror film was actually based on actual events? Was it A, Night of the Lepers, B, The Birds, C, Piranha, or D, Day of the Animals? I shall repeat. Which nature horror film was actually based on actual events? A, Night of the Lepers, B, The Birds, C, Piranha, or D, Day of the Animals? And a lot of you got it. The correct answer, of course, I'll give you another minute here. Well, actually, I've already given it away if I said a lot of you got it, haven't I? And look at this Day of the Animals. Sorry, not this time. Gary Carpenter, you said A, and you know what? I'm gonna let if you want to, I'm gonna let you give that question to yourself, because one of the inspirations was, of course, everyone knows the story of in Australia where the jackrabbits were brought in by people who thought they'd be fun to hunt, and they became an invasive species. But in Night of the Lepers, they actually used hormones to make them bigger, and that did not happen in Australia. But I did say on actual events, and there was an actual event. But the correct answer is, in fact, in this case, B. There was, I want to say in the UK in the early 60s, there was some mutant algae that made seabirds sick, and they acted erratically. They didn't take over whole towns, but anyway, in this case, the correct answer is B. Moving on to number 7. Oh, and by the way, there are a couple of Star Trek questions in this one, of course. What Star Trek, the original series episode, was not based on a work from Robert Heinlein? A, Charlie X, B, Operation Annihilate, C, The Trouble with Tribbles, or D, The Arena? I shall. Oh, Cindy says not a Trekkie. You can guess. You get a 1 in 4 chance. I will try again. What Star Trek TOS episode was not based on a work from Robert Heinlein? A, Charlie X, B, Operation Annihilate, C, The Trouble with Tribbles, or D, Arena? Ooh, I think a lot of you fell into the trap. I'm going to give you a second, though. Yep. This is the one thing I was afraid of. Yes, there are actually 2 sources that have been actually attributed to The Trouble with Tribbles. He wrote something called Flat Cats or something like that. But yes, there's another one with David Gerard wrote that. So you know what? Anyone who said C If you want to give it to yourself, give it to yourself. The correct answer I have here was Arena, because there was no work that Robert Heinlein did that was similar to that. Arena was written by Frederick Brown, or the origin story Arena was written by Frederick Brown. But I guess one could make a valid case either way for Trouble with Tribbles. So, oh, but Emily Miller got it. Arena. Darrell John says it's a trap. It's a trap. Anyway, but so yeah, if you guys want to give yourself C because there was another origin story, go ahead. I am not unfair. Number 6. H.P. Lovecraft inspired what famous sci-fi horror film? A. Humanoids from the Deep. B. John Carpenter's The Thing. C. Chud. Or D. The Toxic Avenger. I shall repeat. H.P. Lovecraft inspired what famous sci-fi horror film? A. Humanoids from the Deep. B. John Carpenter's The Thing. C. Chud. Or D. The Toxic Avenger. Wow, a lot of people saying Chud. I loved Chud when I was a kid. I thought it was a great flick. And you watch closely, there's a lot of people who have bit parts in it that's actually really cool. But okay, I'm going to not keep you in suspenders. It was actually John Carpenter's The Thing. At the Mountains of Madness, I think it was the short story that is remarkably similar to John Carpenter's The Thing. Now, granted, it's also loosely adapted. Well, I might give something away. I'll tell you what. How about we get scores now? Anybody want to do scores? Paul Bless has a tidbit. Arena was also previously done on The Outer Limits in season 1, the episode Fun and Games. Yes, Tug fans would remember that. He does an excellent retrospect on that with Larry, the guy from all the Godzilla movies. He was in it. The only main difference is it's couples in the Outer Limits version, and it was single combat in the Star Trek version. But that's a very good call. Thank you. Oh, and we have some scores here. Keith E is 2 out of 5. Tab is 4 out of 5. Dan the Man is 3 out of 5. Tracy is 3 for 5. Dominic D is 3 for 5. Shannon is 3 for 5. Cindy D is 4 for 5. Considering, let me guess, there was a guess or two in there, but you're still getting 4 for 5. Dominic D says Raymond Burr. And a Raymond Burr to you too, Dominic D. Oh, thank you, Nick. Where did I get Larry? Where in God's name did I get Larry? Yes, Nick Adams is the young man I was talking about. He had a very tragic death story. Steve, you could actually do a whole post on that. But yes, Nick Adams is the young man I was thinking of. Oh, and Nancy Malone. Thank you. I hadn't remembered that, but I shall take your word for it. Cindy D says music trivia, please. Okay, Cindy D, I promise. I promise. Next live show, I will have music trivia. And it'll be good music. 60s, 70s, and 80s preferred. I promise. So Emily says mine didn't post, but she's 4 for 5. Gary Carpenter is 3 for 5. And I'm going to wait another minute for any more scores, and then we shall press on with part 2. Without further ado. Actually, I think that's it. There's no more posts. So let's continue, shall we? Oh, Danny's giving us a link. Thank you. Thank you. Number 5. What Star Trek TOS is transparent? Hold on. Is transparently the origins for the Purge franchise. Let me reread that. By the way, I got a little side right there. What Star Trek, the original series episode, is transparently the origins for the Purge franchise? Is it A, The Return of the Archons, B, Setting the Edge Forever, C, A Piece of the Action, or D, The Man Trap? I shall repeat. What Star Trek, the original series episode, is transparently the origins for the Purge franchise? A. The Return of the Archons. B. City of the Edge of Forever. C. A Piece of the Action. Or D. Man Trap. Sean, it is Festival! Festival! Yeah, you got it right at the gate. Thank you. A few people have said B. I'm sorry, B would be closer to if I was talking about the Time Tunnel or the Time Travelers, whatever that schlocky TV series Irwin Allen did around that time was. No, the answer in this case was Forms Condensed says going with I don't know. Dan says E, unsure. It was Return of the Archons with their festival situation, which they provide their people with to get the negative energies out of them so they can become complacent slaves for the rest of the year. Number 4. What sci-fi TV series did not utilize the fugitive format? And I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. I actually did a post right on this channel where I talk about all good American sci-fi in the 60s and 70s is effectively The Fugitive with a science fiction backdrop. But one of the ones I've mentioned here did not use that template. A, The Hulk. B, Planet of the Apes. C, Otherworld. Or D, Star Trek. And if you're familiar with the Fugitive, you could probably guess just from the selections I've given you. But I shall repeat. What sci-fi series did not utilize the Fugitive format in its TV making? A, The Hulk. B, Planet of the Apes. C, Otherworld. Or D, Star Trek. Gee, a lot of you people are going with A. No, the Hulk very much so. Remember, he's being chased by the government agents, and he's looking for the cure. Because that's the whole thing about the Fugitive. He's being chased by something and is chasing something else and is hoping to catch what he's looking for before he gets caught. And of course, every week he has a new adventure. He meets up with new people and ends up doing more to help them than helping him. It's very similar to, actually, speaking of which, we were talking about earlier, the A-Team. That format of the people who just sort of wander in and make the world a better place and then wander out was very common at the time. I've got to share this little tidbit before I give the answer, and that is, to any of you Get a Life fans out there, had Get a Life gone for the 3rd season, he wasn't going to be living at home or with Gus anymore. He was going to go out on the road, and every week he would meet a new group of people who needed help, and rather than help them out, he would make their lives worse and then move on. It was going to be a reverse Fugitive, and I so wish they had done that. But anyway, the answer was, of course, D, Star Trek. Star Trek was actually based more on Wagon Train than on The Fugitive. Or Route 66, if you want to go that route. If you didn't understand that, catch it on replay. Moving forward to question 3. Which sci-fi film was not an inspiration for the sci-fi horror flick Alien? Was it A, It, Terror from Beyond Space, B, Planet of Vampires, C, Thing from Another World, or D, Planet of Blood? I shall repeat. Which sci-fi film was not inspiration for the sci-fi horror flick Alien? A, It, Terror from Beyond Space, B, Planet of Vampires, C, Thing from Another World, or D, Planet of Blood? Dan says E, Little House on the Prairie. Oh no, Little House on the Prairie was an inspiration for Alien. Was Mike leaving us? Bye, Mike. Take care. Cindy says laugh out loud, Dan. Well, a lot of people have guessed Planet of the Vampires. No, there's this great scene in Planet of the Vampires where they're investigating the planet and they're all these there's this like massive giant skeleton from a previous battle, and that was lifted right out of that into Alien. And both Planet of Blood and It Terror from Beyond Space involve them bringing something that seems harmless on board and having terrible things happen. Or not harmless, but anyway. No, the actual answer is C, Thing from Another World. That was actually the origin for John Carpenter's The Thing. And it takes place on Earth, not in a spaceship in space. So, moving forward to number 2. Any Godzilla fan should get this one. Godzilla franchise was derived from what Ray Bradbury's short story? A, The Seashell. B, The Undersea Guardians. C, The Foghorn. Or D, The Dragon. I shall repeat. The Godzilla franchise, the entire franchise, the origin story, was derived from what Ray Bradbury's short story? A, The Seashell. B, The Undersea Guardians. C, The Foghorn. Or D, The Dragon. I see some answers. Keith, I love it. You know what? They're all good guesses. They're all good guesses, but there's one in particular. In fact, if you do a little deeper, for any of you who've seen Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, there's a scene where the Beast, while it's on land, sees a lighthouse and mistakes the lighthouse signal as another monster signaling it. And when it goes there, it gets pissed off and destroys it. That's the Foghorn. The Foghorn is about a foghorn sending signals out to the sea, and the sea monster mistaking the foghorn for a mating call. When it shows up, it is disappointed, surprised, and destroys the whole installation. And that went on to be the inspiration for the Sea Dragon Godzilla. So it was actually the Foghorn, or Foghorn Leghorn, as Keith said. That's priceless. And the number one question for tonight's Origin Stories trivia is: which personal experience was not one of Serling's inspirations for creating the Twilight Zone? Was it A, his experiences in World War II? B, his feelings of nostalgia for a simpler time? C, his inherent hate of bullies? Or D, his anxiety over becoming a father? I shall repeat. Which personal experiences of Rod Serling's did he not draw upon in his creation for the Twilight Zone? A, his experiences in World War II. B, his sense of nostalgia for simpler times. C, his inherent hate of bullies. Or D, his anxiety over upcoming fatherhood. And yeah, you guys all got this one if you've watched any episode of the Twilight Zone. Yes, you guys probably already know this. The anxiety over becoming a father. If any of you have ever seen Eraserhead, surreal psychological thriller cult film extraordinaire. Apparently, when asked what his inspirations were, he said he was about to become a father for the first time, and he was having these incredibly realistic nightmares about things going awry with his wife's upcoming childbirth. And as catharsis, he wrote some of them down, and it became Eraserhead. So yeah, so that's the story of that. But no, that was not one of Serling's origins for Twilight Zone. The other three definitely were. And great. So, Tracy said I did poorly on this quiz. And didn't you know Rod Serling personally? Anyway, how about some scores? Emily Miller says Eraserhead, the movie my daughter still doesn't forgive me for. Shannon says 5 for 5. I took a beating, as with Sunstrom's trivia yesterday. I'm sorry, lad. Superplex is here. Oh my God, Superplex. Hey, what's going on, man? Superplex says bookshelf backdrop is good. You haven't seen that bookshop? You must Superplex. You must have seen that backdrop. But anyway, I'm glad you're here. Sorry you missed the quiz. Keithy says 4 out of 10. Surrey. Teb says 9 out of 10. Excellent. City D is 7 for 10. Excellent. Jenny says I prefer Rawhead Rex. Shanina says I went to school for that. Serling taught at. Oh, we went to school and Serling taught it. Oh my god, that is so cool. Keith Wilkinson says I just got one right. Well, that's some. That's good. Dominic Dees got 6 out of 10. Tracy said, "Nope, we were good friends with Harlan Ellison." Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Sorry, Harlan Ellison, not Rod Serling. Zuplik says no buffering. Good, good. Georgie Ears is here. Says hello, Amin. Georgia, I'm so glad you could make it tonight. You remember you were asking earlier when the next show was? I'm glad you're able to make tonight's. Thank you. What do you mean says 2 out of 10. What do you mean? When did you slip in here? By the way, must have been during the contest. 2 out of 10. LOL, but missed the first half. Oh, that's why I didn't see you. You did come in during the trivia. Well, anyways, very glad to see you here. And Danny, please give a link to what you mean. And Melissa says, "Well, crap, I didn't hear all the answers. I'm gonna just go with 6 out of 10. I know I've gotten 2 right since the first 4 to 5. Good enough, but watch it replay, and the answers will be there, of course, as well." Keithy says, "Sean, did you mark me present? Maybe you were mentioned it before. I missed it." A lot of people saying hi to Georgia. Zuplik says, "Tracy, I understand Ellison had a mean temper. He did. He did. Somewhere in my papers, I wrote and asked him a question once, and what I got back was a series of chastisements, which not only chastised me, but he never actually got around to answering the question. It's a great story. I should do a chat on that, or at least a post. Maybe I will. But yeah, Shannon says you missed it, Keith. I had eyes in my text and everything. I thought I read that one out, apart from the eyes, because the eyes had it. But Teresa Zuper, I never saw his mean side. That's nice. And like I said, I wouldn't say he was a mean person. I just know that he didn't suffer fools well, which is probably why he always liked you, because you were no one's fool. Thank you, Denny, for sending the link. A lot of people saying hello to one another and having fellowship. Probably for some of the later rivals, Wajimine and Zuper specifically. Gary Carpenter says B. Yes, B is the correct answer. Now, if I can just figure out which question you were answering to. To be or not to be? That is the question. But again, I don't know what the answer is. Anyhow, we have a slight. Either we have a slight slowing down, or you people all suddenly stopped talking to me at once. Was it something I said? Oh, here we go again. Zublik says, "You are lucky, Tracy." And Wajimine says, "LOL, thanks, Cindy D." And let's just see what else we got going on here. Oh, by the way, very good. We have 17 people still active and 18 thumbsies upsies. So, and again, next trivia question will be on music trivia. I promise I'll come up with something good and gettable. Let's see what. Oh, it's a bee. Oh, Terrell Johnson. I thought it was a Pokemon. He answered with a bee emoji. So Luke says, "What should we hold a poll if we like Harlan Ellison or not?" The man's dead. What's the point? He was a great writer and something of a sci-fi character. I say we give him a double plus good score and move forward. Cindy D gives us a thumbs up. Dan says, "Have you ever seen the filming set of Back to the Future Universal Studios?" Personally, no, but I've seen behind the scenes stuff. Emily says, "I'm still here." I think yes, you're still here and with us. Keith E says, "Between Dave and Thrash, I'm 6 for 20." Oh, Jenny has given us another link. My movie and my TV stuff, mostly horror. Thank you for the link. Oh, and Teb has given us another one. What late 80s, early 90s sitcom do you prefer better? Married with Children, Full House, Roseanne, Murphy Brown, Saved by the Bell, Family Matters, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, or Home Improvement. Well, you know I have to go with Married with Children. I love you, my Married with Children. Never really a big fan of Full House. Roseanne, I tried, but she was just so obnoxious. Uh, Saved by the Bell, a little young for me. I did like Family Matters. I did like Fresh Prince of Bel Air. Home Improvement I thought was a little saccharine. I didn't hate the show, but I didn't love it. And of course, I did like Murphy Brown. Azublik says, "So Pons, have you fixed your set up yet? It seems to be working okay, hasn't it? Doesn't it? Isn't it?" Oh, and Gary Carpenter says 7 from 10. Excellent, excellent. Emily says, "Terrell, I have to admit to loving all of those. Excellent." Cindy D says, "Not too easy thrash. Can you make them obscure like the One Night in Bangkok song?" Okay. Like, for example, what Broadway play is One Night in Bangkok from? This will be a test. Any of you who think you can answer that correctly, please feel free in the comments below. Benjamin says, "Tab, I like Married with Children and Roseanne." Okay, so we're split. Looks says Harlan Ellison was a talented sci-fi writer, but his personality was diabolical. I don't know if diabolical is the right word, but Emily says, "Where the hell did that extra letter come from?" Probably from the alphabet. Shannon says, "The clock tower town square of Back to the Future used to be on the Universal lot tour back when I was there." No kidding. Very cool. Cindy says, "Fresh Prince and Family Matters. Family Entertainment taped on the VCR." I miss VCRs. I still have them. I just never use them. Chan says, "True to Superplex." Oh, he doesn't like Harlan Ellison either. The man suffered from writer's block for 40 years. Super like Family Matters. Emily likes Terrell. Dominic D, first one to answer the question correctly. Yes, chess. Chess was the right answer. But Form is Content has also got it. Oh, Shonda says, "I saw Clock Tower at Universal Studios in 02. Keithy says, "I like Mother on Home Improvement." The Mother on Home Improvement, yes. I've seen her in other stuff as well, but I can't think off the top of my head. Georgia Ear has answered us in Eris has answered us in emojis, and a big heart going out to you too. Oh, Tracy got it as well. Chess. Denny says, "I'm old when I think sitcoms. I think MASH. Cheers, One Day at a Time." Alice. Well, they go back even further than that, but yes, I certainly see what you mean. Gary Carpenter says, "I love Petticoat Junction, Beverly Hill, Billies, and Green Acres." Ah, yes, before the merge. Oh, Mr. Wilkins says, "Good night, Cindy D." Then you heading out tonight? Take care of yourself. Thanks for joining us and have a great night. Dan says the city setting used to be Back to the Future was also the set they used for Gremlins. I knew that. I did. I knew that. Some other stuff as well. Zubik says, "Yes, he was T-Pods, a toxic personality. He was have been a really rough role for his spouses." Yeah, all four of them. I believe he was married 4 times. Is that right, Tracy? Was there 4 marriages? Cindy says she was the parent on Double Trouble with the Seagal twins. I remember Double Trouble. I completely forgot that. Thank you. Gary Cameron says, "To see or not to see." Well, that's why I wear glasses. Teb says, "Which 70s/80s sitcom do you prefer better? MASH, Happy Days, The Jeffersons, Laverne and Shirley, Three's Company, Soap, Taxi, Mork and Mindy, Benson, Cheers, or Family Ties?" The agony of choice. Those are some of my favorite sitcoms. I will put them in no particular order. But MASH, one of probably my favorite sitcom of all time. Happy Days, at the time when I was a kid, it was my favorite. It still ranks in the top 10 to this day. But when it was on at the time, it was I absolutely loved that show. Jeffersons is one of my favorites. Love Laverne and Shirley and Three's Company. Soap, I used to have to actually when I got my own TV, I used to sneak and watch it in my room because my mother didn't want me to watch it. It was too adult for me, but I love Soap. Speaking of origins, Benson is a spinoff of Soap. I'm sure many of you already knew that. Taxi is probably my number 2 favorite sitcom of all time. Love Mork and Mindy. Oh, and here we go. Benson, which of course is a spinoff of Soap. And I love My Family Ties. Cindy says, I'm not leaving Thrash, LOL. Oh, yeah, I know. Mr. Wilkinson is. But everyone said goodnight to him as well. They should. Oh, Dave says, nowadays I like Young Sheldon. I haven't had a chance to see it. I guess a lot of people like it. They say you have to watch it as a separate story because they mess with the canon. Dominic D says, Mash and Cheers, Terrell. He goes on to say, Family Ties was good too. Cindy says, Living Single and Family Matters used the same Warner Brothers set. I did not know that. I did not. That's a great tidbit. Thank you. Chance says Ellison really had an ego when NBC censors forced his drug dealer character out of the script for City of Ninja Forever. He flipped out and was done with Trek. Yes, he swore he would never write for Trek again. But of course, he went against that. He actually submitted a script for, I don't want to get this wrong. It was either 2 or 3, but they're having troubles coming up with scripts. He submitted a script for either Star Trek 2 or Star Trek 3. I think it was Star Trek 2. And they loved it. They thought it was a great script, but they wanted to incorporate the Mayans. And he goes, what do the Mayans have to do with anything I've written? And so they said, we'll get back to you. They never called him again. There was a lot of train wreck stuff on City to the Edge of Forever, by the way. He actually did a whole interview about that, by the way. It is conceptual imagery. You know how it takes place in like a devastated city? He said he wanted runes around the time tunnel device. And the prop men didn't know what runes were. So they made it look like ruins. And he goes, no, runes, like weird looking letters. Oh. But by that point, they had already made the set. I love that story. But yeah, he had nothing but headaches working with not Roddenberry personally, but with the set people on Star Trek and NBC. And if you've heard some of the horror stories that Nimoy has told, you know, I'm not saying Ellison was always right, but I'm just saying they weren't nice people at the time. Keith, he says, message retracted, and a message retracted to you as well. CDD says, Soap and Benson and Three's Company can't beat those misunderstandings. And Shona says, I'll say Soap, it never got enough credit. And I miss Diana Kavanaugh. I can certainly see that. Dan says, what happened to the older son on Happy Days? There's a there's a great theory, and there's a YouTuber who actually did a whole bit about that. He was actually a serial killer, and he took off. I think it's a little warped, but yes, it is sad. They get rid of both older sons. Chan says which was weird because Harry Mudd was a drug dealer in Mudd's Women Trek episode. Ooh, you raise a very, very, very good point. Former's Content says I was definitely a Cotter kid. Had the Sweat Hug New Shanks novel tie-in. Oh, excellent. Emily Miller says I was lucky and was able to watch Soap as a kid. It's funny too. My mother was very, very, very progressive, but in some areas she was she tried to hide things from me or hide negative things from me as a kid. But it was funny because she was known as a very progressive person. Gary Garman said, Soap, MASH, Murphy Brown, Cheers, Laverne and Shirley. Excellent. Tab says, did you know that Benson had connections with Star Trek? No. In fact, I'm racking my brains now trying to think what those connections are. Please do tell. Emily says, Form, I didn't get into Cotter until I was a lot older, but it was a fun show. CD says, my mom didn't like us watching Soap either, but we watched it anyway, LOL. And then Teddy says, LOL. Pabla says the Guardian of Forever looked like a giant donut. It did. It did. And Emily Miller says Dan Chuck went off to college, witnessed a crime, and ended up in the witness protection program. That's good too. Republican says Happy Days was a spinoff too from Love American Style. Very good. Very good. It certainly was. Shanina says Chuck went up the stairs and never came back. Zublik says a very mean-spirited individual. You're still bashing on Ellison, huh? Dan says thanks, Emily. LOL. Cindy says Chuck weren't upstairs and he never came down. Went upstairs and never came down, just like Judy on Family Matters. Yeah, and then she corrected herself. Went. David May says you were mixing up Rat Patrol and Combat earlier. I was. Thank you. Yes, I was. The opening segment to Rat Patrol is them riding on the dunes with the 30 caliber machine guns. Yes, I was. I know. I watched both shows, so I know they were both World War II. But you're right. Rat Patrol was Africa Corps, and I believe all the episodes I saw of Combat is continental Europe, Western Front specifically. So, but yes, thank you very much, David. Tracy says, "Well, guys, I'm out. Have a very nice night." Tracy, I don't think you're gonna miss much. I think we're gonna start wrapping up in a few minutes. But have a great night. Take care of yourself. Get some rest, and looking forward to your next show. Dominic D says Tom Bosley didn't play the father in Happy Days pilot on Love American Style. Is the father shown in that episode? I can't remember, but I'm sure you're right. Emily says, my mother didn't realize I understood the adult humor. Farmers Content says, Mom and I watched both Soap and Mary Hartman. I loved Mary Hartman, and I didn't get half the storylines, but I love Mary Hartman. And Fernwood Tonight, of course, was a spinoff of Mary Hartman. Cindy D says, my mom hated when we watched the the scene from Mary Met Sally. And then she goes on to say something else, but it's retracted. Message retracted to you, too. Danny Steven says, ooh, my. Dominic D is saying goodnight to Tracy. A lot of people saying goodnight to Tracy. Chance says, Harold Gould played the dad. Oh, excellent. Different daughter, too, in Love American Style. Segment Love. And the television set, which was retitled to Love and the Happy Day in syndication. Thank you very much. S.J. Manola. I always put an N in there. I'm sorry. S.J. Miola. S.J. Miola. I'm sorry. I don't know why I keep putting the N in your name. Says, I can't forget the wonder years we waited many years for a DVD release. Also, we never got Making It with David Nunn. Also, one-hit wonder song, Making It. I remember that. Yes, I remember Making It. And no, it didn't last long. Denny says, hey, I love Rat Patrol, but GI Combat was a little slow. Cindy D says, father on Rhoda's dead. Yes, Harold Gould was the father in Rhoda. Zublik says, I think Combat was set in France. Western Front, yes. David May says, Combat was filmed in California and France. Oh, get a little realism in there. Excellent. And Dan says, Family Matters is a spinoff of Perfect Strangers. I had heard that. I don't remember the connection, but I had heard that. And I'm starting to lose my voice, guys. And Dominic D says, you're right, podcast there was no Fonzie character in the pilot either. No, he wasn't invented later. He didn't wear a leather jacket. He wore this sort of, those Barracuda jacket, those sort of like light gray canvas jackets. Oh, my cousin Brian's here. B. Pond says, used to watch Rat Patrol, but not Combat. I thought we used to watch Rat Patrol when I used to come up and visit you guys for like Thanksgiving and stuff. I thought because you guys had the split level. I thought we used to watch Rat Patrol among other like war TV shows in the or maybe it wasn't at your house. It was at Daddy Graham's house. 'Cause remember we had the family room there. We used to like well, we spent more time wrestling around and horsing around, but in that really good family room. Remember he had the giant sailfish and the ship in a bottle, and he cheated. He cut the back of the bottle off, put the ship in, glued it together, and then covered the back of the bottle up with rope. I'm sorry. I just sadly the only person in this entire show who might know what I'm talking about is Brian. Brian, you just gave me a nostalgia flashback to to 40, 50 years ago. But anyway, Brian, welcome to the show. Everybody, welcome my cousin Brian. Ziplik says, plus combat wasn't focused on jeeps. Well, no, they were infantry. Chance says, I have Mary Hartman on DVD. Excellent. Teb says, the late, great Rene Auberjour and Ethan Phillips played Clayton Endicott III and Pete Downey, respectively, on Benson. Oh, yes. Okay, yes, thank you. I know exactly who you're talking about now. Yes, he was also on. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Totally unrelated, but very, very good. Thank you. I love Star Trek trivia. Emma Miller says, I've never seen a single episode of Mary Hartman. Well, you would have been very, very, very young at the time. And I just jumped again. Daryl says, incorrectly regarded as a factual error. The M250 caliber machine guns were routinely used by and fired from U.S. MC Jeeps from World War II until the introduction of the larger Humvee. Cool. Thank you. David May says Jennifer Jason Lee is Vic Morrow's daughter. Yes, I knew that. I'm guessing a lot of you did, but some of you may have not have. So thank you for the tidbit. Cindy says, great song, making it. Zerblick says, why just USMC Jeeps? I think it was used on Jeeps from both services. Keithy says, what was Benson's Star Trek link? I didn't hear that. Oh, the guy who played his rival, whose name I read out loud, but I forget. But you know the guy who's sort of like was the sort of personal valet to the governor. He was Odo on Star Trek. And another person was also there were a couple people who were on Benson who later wanted to do incarnations of Star Trek. Dan says Carl's wife and Carl were in Perfect Strangers episodes. I don't recall those episodes, but that's good to know. Nice little tidbit. CDD says Harriet was the elevator operator on Perfect Strangers Thresh. I didn't recall that. Thank you, Cindy. I actually did not recall that. I remember those shows, but I didn't know the crossover. A lot of people saying hi to Brian. Brian saying hello all. David May says Combat played for 5 seasons, Rat Patrol only 2. And hey, cousin Brian. Danny says, hey, there was a sitcom about a pink submarine with Dan from Night Court on it. And that was called Operation Petticoat. It's actually based on an old matinee-like comedy set during World War II. And John Astin plays the captain in it. Dan says, hi, Brian. Hi, Mary Ellen. Hi, John Boy. Gary Carpenter. In classic form says, Gary Carpenter says, good night, Mrs. Calabash, wherever you are. Emily Miller, it's Brian with an I. Oh, Brian says the right way with an I. so yes. Danny Staten says Mary Hartman was a little ginger that whining about everything, very annoying show. She was kind of annoying. Louise Lasser. Elmer says, well, I wouldn't want to spell it incorrectly. He goes on to say, LOL, thank you. So Luke says, particularly about the uh, limit, but yes, whatever you said, Zuplix. Emily says, Danny doesn't sound like my kind of thing. SJ Miola says, Animals, 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 a children's show that is lost forever. Howland hosted it. It won an Emmy. Never a home video release. And a few episodes I am able to find said there are animals, animals, animals everywhere. Animals, 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 animals everywhere. Oh, I'm sorry. Animals here and there. Animals, 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 animals everywhere. Excellent. Uh-oh. Guess what? My battery is dying, guys. So I think I'm gonna have to call it. Anyway, I'm just skipping down. Almost time. Chances almost time for the Bellevue Hillbillies on MeTV at 9. Well, I shan't have you miss that. Anyway, since my battery's about to die, I'm going to keep this short and to the point. And I just want to say thank all of you for showing up tonight. I had an absolute blast. I'm glad the technical problems held off. I'm glad you folks were able to enjoy. I want to thank all you new people for joining me tonight, and all you loyal fans who've been here every week. I want to thank you for coming back again tonight, and to guys who have been regulars in the past but came back tonight. Welcome back. It was so nice to see all of you again. And shout outs to a few people who weren't able to make it tonight, of course. Well, I don't necessarily out, but Music Girl, Lisa Fields, Tom the Hungry Jerk, Baked Bean, House of Alex, and oh, I feel like Romper Room. Romper, Bumper, Bumper Zoo. Anyway, I just want to say thank you guys all. Thank you for showing up. I really couldn't do this show without you. And Steve, I want to thank you for all your support and the additional fans you brought me. But anyway, all of you folks, be good, be safe, be careful. I will have another show next Sunday. And whether it's a solo show or a duo show next Monday remains to be seen, but I'll keep you posted. But anyway, until then, again, looking forward to seeing you all again very, 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 very soon. Peace.